One thing I wanted to speak on about is Steph Curry and the Finals MVP that's been always been eluding him in his career, right? You know, you need a Finals MVP to kind of solidify yourself in the all-time, greats, pantheon when regards to, accolades and awards, and when you're in discussion of, greatest of all time in your positions and whatnot. Don't get me wrong, in 2015, Steph Curry absolutely got robbed for Finals MVP. I mean, just look at his stats, right? I mean, wasn't this dude averaging like what 26, like 5 and 5 or some shit like that, right? He was averaging some great numbers. The reason why he was kind of shaken up in the first, couple games was because, if I remember correctly, that was the year when they played against the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals, and Steph Curry had that weird ass fall.
You don't want to allow him to get it going off of your mistakes defensively. Oh, Curry goes down hard, landed on his back, hit his head as he tried to block Ariza, and Curry appears to be a bit shaken up. The Warriors right now holding their breath.
Where he kind of landed on his head and neck area. I'm sure this dude got concussed, dude. Like, there's no question about it. He felt super awkward, and it just kind of like threw him off his game a bit, right? People want to say that, oh, Dellavedova, like with this Curry stopper or whatnot. Like, no way, dude. Like, where is even Dellavedova right now? Is he even still on the Cavs? Like, I know he got, what? He got traded, or he got signed to like the Bucks or something, and then he got traded. I don't know where he's at right now. Right? The media likes to put these narratives and whatnot, and people just, they just swallow it all up and take it in like, oh, yes, Curry stopper and whatnot. But, the first couple of games he didn't really play well. And then later, once he, got his rhythm back and his equilibrium, that's when he went off. And he just kept on going off. But people don't really remember that. They just think, oh, Andre Iguodala, like, he deserved Finals MVP because he guarded LeBron James. And he guarded LeBron James to the point where whenever Andre Iguodala was on him, like, LeBron James' percentages dipped to the 30s, right? So, there's that, kind of thing. But, you forget how good Steph Curry is. He absolutely deserved Finals MVP. And for people to vote for Andre Iguodala is just ridiculous in my opinion, right? I mean, they're also putting the narrative that, obviously, they're putting it, Kawhi won Finals MVP because, he guarded LeBron James. Well, Kawhi won Finals MVP because he was the best player on the Spurs as well, right? You don't really say Andre Iguodala is the best player on the Warriors. It's Steph Curry. So, after that, they get, Kevin Durant. Durant plays, great all-time performances in the playoffs and in the finals, right? He wins Finals MVP in 2017. And then in 2018, you got that your turn, my turn kind of performances, right? Where they were both putting in great performances in the NBA Finals. And I think it was like was it game 3 or game 4 is when Steph Curry kind of like, he played his worst performance. I think he was like shooting like 20% or something from like, field goal of that night. It was either 20% or like in that range of like 20 to 30%. And it was just a bad night for him. And Kevin Durant was still putting up some like supremely good numbers, right? Where he was still putting up like, like 50% and like 40% and stuff like that. And that was all it took for Kevin Durant to snatch up another Finals MVP. I mean, they're neck and neck to Finals MVP performances again, and Kevin Durant is just a better player and put up better performances, and he just snatched it again, right? So you got this narrative that Steph Curry is lacking in Finals MVP, and which is right and so. Like he needs a Finals MVP, and I have no doubt if these Warriors come back to the Finals again, it'll be on his mind to get that Finals MVP and finally solidify himself as an all-time great in like many people's eyes. Because there's a lot of people that kind of downplay Steph Curry, and I think a lot of it is due to the fact that he's not kind of your typical superstar where they're like physicality and stuff like that. Steph Curry's a finesse player, right? But the impact he brings is tremendous, right? Like people like casuals don't really see how great Steph Curry is. Steph Curry is like this black hole where he sucks everything in. Everyone has to focus on him because why? He's the greatest shooter of all time, right? Like his impact, he's willing to pass and like super unselfish, everything. I mean, he has all the acolytes in the world. First unanimous MVP, two-time MVP player, multiple All-Star, superstardom in the Warriors, the greatest Warrior of all time, right? That's Steph Curry, and all he needs right now is a Finals MVP to put the cherry on top of a great career for a legendary player. And the Warriors should be doing that right now, right? I mean, Steph Curry, like, doesn't really have much time left in the NBA as well, right? I mean, everyone's trying to think like LeBron James, like he's on that 1 foot out the door kind of moment. LeBron James like 35, and he's about to be out in the NBA. Like Steph Curry's like in his early 30s, right? 32, and who knows how long Steph Curry's gonna last, right? Like, we'll see what happens. Like, how long will this Steph Curry last? There's no doubt, he can be a role player, right? He can shoot. He can still put up open shots and stuff and whatnot. But, we'll see what the Warriors can do to help Steph Curry, get that unachievable goal as of right now of that Finals MVP, right? Because in my opinion, Steph Curry is a top 5 point guard of all time. I mean,
look at Curry, man. Oh my gosh, man. That shot just gives me butterflies, man. Kind of makes me blush too when he does that, bro. Damn. Curry's shot is just the greatest. Can we just agree he has a
rank him number 4 of all time. My first point guard all time is Magic Johnson, the greatest point guard. Second greatest point guard, in my opinion, is Isaiah Thomas. Bad Boys, Pistons, Isaiah Thomas. The third greatest point guard of all time, in my opinion, is Oscar Robertson. And then number 4 is Steph Curry, right? So, he's right up there on the tipping toe of these greats. And he just needs that, Finals MVP to solidify himself in many people's eyes. Because, there's a lot of talking points of being some kind of, underperforming, player in the playoffs. That's what they try to use against Steph Curry. Not really. Steph Curry actually performs in the playoffs, like great numbers, right? You make it sound like this dude's like kind of like putting up James Harden kind of roles where he chokes and whatnot, where they bring up the Toronto Raptors box one play against, Steph Curry. Why is that a talking point against Steph Curry? It's because Steph Curry is not a physical kind of player. So when you put physicality on him, right, it kind of throws him off, and, boxing one kind of stuff, when they surround him, as you can see, it works, right? Because he doesn't really impose his will physically on you, right? He imposes his will with finesse and, his shooting. So, certain things, certain gimmicks, stuff like that, that can be used on Steph Curry would never work against certain players like, like they're super physical, right? Like LeBron James, let me think, like, Kawhi Leonard, like Giannis, like Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, like stuff like that, like where they can beat you by just being physicality. Steph Curry is not built like that in regards to, the physical nature. That's why when you see Steph Curry, like dude's pretty, skinny kind of player. He's kind of fit, right, and all that, but he's not the player that'll just, straight up beat you based off of, physical will. He's one of the, best dribblers. He has the best handles in NBA history. He's one of the best finishers as well in, the NBA in history as well. Like, he's one of the best finishers. But a lot of that's just technical skills, in which Steph Curry excels in. So, he needs that Finals MVP, right? When we think of, all-time greats in discussions, they have Finals MVPs and championships. Steph Curry has 3 championships right now and no Finals MVP. Once he gets, another championship and a Finals MVP to solidify it all, it's going to open up a lot of conversations of where Steph Curry stands in the all-time greats, right? Because he's already all-time great. But there's just doubts in his ability right now because, the Finals MVP eludes him right now. He should have won in 2015, but, the fucking media, like, has this narrative of, like, if you stop LeBron James, you deserve it or something like that, right? And that's what they're pushing. But, now it's on Steph Curry's hand, right? Like, how much you got left in the tank, this Warriors run, and, we'll see what happens in the regular season. But, I mean, Steph Curry is accomplished, right? He's a legendary player. And, I hope he gets another chance to get in the finals and get a Finals MVP that he deserves. And, we'll see what happens. Steph Curry, look at Curry, man.